You're pretty strong for some clown who thinks he's Batman.
I am Batman.
One of the biggest successes in the DC universe is the creation of the iconic superhero Batman. The classic story of Batman becoming a vigilante after his parents' death is legendary. But what about characters whose stories were similar to the modern Dark Knight, but different? Well, we'll discuss people who not only put on the cowl, but kept up the persona for an extended period. So sorry, Alfred and Nightwing don't count.
I could have handled this alone.
If that's your best Batman, you're not gonna fool anyone.
While there are countless variants of Batman in comics due to the multiverse, they've also had many appearances in TV shows and films. To find out about their different on-screen storylines, I'll be your guide as we delve into the evolution of alternate Batmans through the decades. Number 1. 60s Batman. This adaptation of the Caped Crusader is outside that of the current Batman, with the unique suit, mask, dance, and theme. Paired with the lighter tone, this Batman is decisive, has emphasized text during fights, and has a sense of humor. Instead of being feared, he's respected by the citizens of Gotham and is a deputized officer of the law. Batman's not cautious about working side by side with Commissioner Gordon and the police.
You're wrong, Chief. Those noises are our salvation.
But also doesn't fear answering the press. However, like the definitive Batman, he's still a resourceful detective who will stop at nothing to protect Gotham City.
Gosh, Batman, is there anything you don't know?
With his trusty allies Robin and Alfred by his side, who are always there in the nick of time, Batman takes on his rogues gallery. From as low as Mr. Freeze, Clock King, and the Mad Hatter, to as high as King Tut, the Penguin, Two-Face, the Riddler, and the Joker. Even Catwoman is up there, as Batman always falls for her charm. But with all these supervillains, Batman has crazy adventures like teaming up with the Green Hornet and facing off against his most formidable foes in one fight. When some are difficult to escape, he uses unique gadgets and gizmos like the Bat Shark Repellent, Bat Shields, and Portable Laser. However, tools are only part of it, as he can access various vehicles like his helicopter, boat, and the iconic Batmobile to get around quickly. Number 2. Batman Beyond. In the future Gotham City comes Neo Gotham and its vigilante protector, beyond that of the modern Dark Knight. Following an encounter with criminals, Batman has a heart attack and becomes desperate enough to pull a gun on them. Realizing he's gone against his code, he decides to never be Batman again. After 20 years, we meet Terry McGinnis, a young teenager who meets Bruce Wayne, accidentally finds the Batcave, and discovers his identity. When his father is later killed before he exposes a scandal in Bruce's company, Terry decides to take matters into his own hands and dons the black and red suit to become Batman.
Somebody had to do something, and you sure weren't about to.
After avenging his father, he agrees to work with Bruce as his protege and learn the ropes. Terry learns this is challenging.
I put my life on the line all the time. One night's not gonna make any difference.
One night always makes the difference.
As he has trouble balancing being Batman, having a girlfriend, and his responsibilities.
Terry, today was beach day, remember? Where were you? Oh, just out saving the world, Ma.
But he continues to put his life on the line. With guidance from Bruce and going on countless missions, Terry learns a lot about the dangerous crime world as his experience grows. He faces off against a unique rogues gallery that includes Blight, Ink, Shriek, and Spellbinder. But we can't forget his most challenging opponent, Tim Drake as the new Joker. Besides Bruce, Terry has other allies like Max, Barbara, Ace, Zeta, and the Justice League. However, when Terry runs solo, he has high-tech gadgets to aid him in challenging situations like batarangs and a powerful suit, but he also has the futuristic Batmobile. Number 3. Savage Time Batman. In the series Justice League, which is also part of the DC animated universe, we explore a new Batman in the present timeline. When Vandal Savage changed the past, he ensured that he took over the world during World War II as the leader of the Axis powers. This change alters the timeline, affecting all of history. The entire Justice League, except Batman, is protected from this change because of Green Lantern's ring. They arrive in an alternate present and are shocked to see everything has changed. They are cornered when they refuse to cooperate with the authorities, until someone calls for them from the shadows. It's Batman, but not the one they know. Regardless, the League follows him to his train, where he quickly helps them escape the authorities and takes them to his Batcave. We see that this heavily armored Batman is more ruthless.
Who are you?
Bats, you're starting to scare me.
I scare a lot of people.
Willing to use guns, and is the leader of the resistance with an army at his side. After revealing that his parents were killed for speaking out against the regime,
The stormtroopers came to our house. I was 8 years old.
And they murdered your parents.
he became Batman and fought to stop Vandal, where we see that he also took in Dick, Barbara, and Tim. The League discovers a way to go back in time and undo Savage, changing history. Batman is hopeful that his parents will survive their fate.
You understand that if we do change the past, this version of you will never have existed.
Nothing would make me happier.
However, he decides to stay behind in case their plan fails. Number 4. Justice Lord Batman. As we return to the series, we find Batman, but it's not the same old story. This alternate universe is similar to the DCAU timeline, except for one big decision that changed everything. When Superman busts into the Oval Office to arrest President Lex Luthor, he realizes that Lex will just escape again and execute another evil plan. So Superman finally loses his patience and incinerates him.
Well, it had to be done.
2 years later, with redesigned suits, the Justice Lords take over the Earth, where Lord Batman takes control of Gotham using extreme methods. With crime almost non-existent, Batman creates a trans-dimensional portal to look into alternate realities.
You've been a busy little bat, haven't you?
What else is there to do around here anymore?
As the Justice League would never take over their world, the Lords decided to entrap and do it for them.
Why? Because you and your friends couldn't do what needed to be done.
Lord Batman chooses to stay behind and watch over the League, but after the Flash outsmarts him, he's forced to confront his doppelganger in the Batcave. An intense argument follows, but Lord Batman makes a compelling point that ultimately convinces Batman to surrender.
You grabbed power, and with that power, we've made a world where no 8-year-old boy will ever lose his parents.
As they explore the clean Gotham City, the League causes chaos in Arkham, and Lord Batman intervenes before they battle the authorities.
Are you questioning my authority, Lieutenant?
But as he sees the error of his ways, Lord Batman sends the League back to their home dimension. Number 5. Zur-En-Arrh Batman. In modern comics, he's essentially a violent alternate personality residing in Bruce's head. However, his on-screen adaptation is quite different. On the planet Zur-En-Arrh, he fights crime and meets the Batman of Earth, who's stranded.
Given the infinite possibilities in an infinite universe, it's logical two Batman would come to exist on two separate planets.
The Zur-En-Arrh Batman has a unique personality and a vibrant costume with an eccentric color scheme. His inspiration and Batcave are similar to the original Batman, but the similarities end here. Imagine Batman meets Superman, but without the powers. His city is like Metropolis, his archenemy is a bald genius named Rotool, and his secret identity is that of a newspaper reporter. Ironically, when the two Batmen work together to stop Rotool, the original discovers he has superpowers due to his exposure to Rodon in the atmosphere.
Exposure to Rodon could alter the subject's tissue to provide the abilities presented.
One mystery solved.
But when Rotool later escapes and exposes Batman to Quartz, Rodon's kryptonite, Zur-En-Arrh Batman swoops in to save him from being crushed.
Rotool, you forget, Quartz only affects one Batman around here.
He uses his Batplane, equipped with missiles to destroy robots, and coats Batman with a spray to negate the Rodon effects so they can defeat Rotool together. Fast forward to the interactive film Death in the Family, where Bruce sacrifices himself to save Jason, and Talia resurrects him with the Lazarus Pit. His color scheme is the same, but the pit drives him to madness, and he can only say one thing. Zur-En-Arrh. The audience can then choose whether he should die again in battle or recover in the Batcave. Number 6. Owlman. This complex character from Earth 3 shares many similarities with Batman: attitude, tactics, intellect, martial arts, mask suit, gadgets, and of course, a dark brooding persona. But that's where the similarities end. Owlman's psychopathic personality is even darker than Batman's, as he thrives on being evil.
We share the same speed force, slows us both. So all we have to do is kill one of you.
He doesn't have any space for compassion and doesn't believe in having a code. Instead of being part of the Justice League, he leads a criminal organization known as the Crime Syndicate, whose only allegiance is to themselves. In The Brave and the Bold, Owlman and his syndicate took over the Earth, not before he threw Red Hood and chemicals, and we all know what happened next. He later uses a device called the Phase Oscillator to travel dimensions, but when Batman outsmarts him, he uses his identity to frame him for crimes and exploits his plans to defeat his allies.
Looks like I wasn't the only one playing dress-up on a parallel world.
But that's just the tip of Owlman's iceberg. In Crisis on Two Earths, Owlman learns about the multiverse and comes up with an even crazier plan.
What good is a bomb if you don't detonate it?
He and his partner, Superwoman, secretly plan to use a quantum trigger bomb to destroy Earth Prime and end every reality.
Every decision we make is meaningless because somewhere we've already made the opposite choice.
This ultimately leads to an epic battle between Owlman and Batman for life and death. Number 7. Dark Knight Returns Batman. Onto Frank Miller's adaptation of Batman, we move on to the animated film of the same name. After Bruce hung up the cowl for a decade because Jason was killed, Gotham further descends into crime, with the new generation of criminals, the mutants, rising to power. Bruce's trauma returns, and he's drawn back to the life and takes up the mantle again. After recreating an iconic shot,
Up there! Freaking weird! You wanna tell me or holy?
And stopping Two-Face, Batman's age catches up with him. But don't worry, he's still fast and he can easily instill fear. Thinking he's ready for anything, he takes on the mutants' leader. However, he's almost killed if not for Carrie Kelly, who he makes his new Robin. After preparing for a rematch,
I tried to match his savagery last time. That was my mistake. I have to be smarter.
He uses his experience and size to his advantage, and his victory inspires the mutants to become Sons of Batman.
This is the new face of the law.
As the new commissioner issues a warrant for his arrest, Joker suddenly returns. Batman faces the GCPD and confronts his old nemesis for killing innocents, and their battle finally leads to Batman ending his chaotic reign. However, when a nuclear missile causes an EMP and chaos in Gotham, Batman steps up to maintain order and makes Gotham the safest city in America.
You can lend a hand to keep our city from falling apart. You can lead by example.
Believing that Batman has become a threat, the president sends Superman to stop him. Aware of the upcoming fight, he recruits Green Arrow and equips a powerful exosuit. As the epic showdown commences in Crime Alley, the battle is intense and Batman emerges the victor.
I want you to remember the one man who beat you.
But ultimately dies of a heart attack. When his secrets go public, we learn that he faked his death to covertly lead the Sons of Batman from the shadows. Number 8. Flashpoint Batman. In the animated film based on the popular comic with a similar name, the Flash goes back in time to save his mom, causing a ripple effect that alters the entire timeline. With history changed, Bruce dies in Crime Alley instead of his parents, leading to Thomas becoming Batman and his mother turning into the Joker. This new Batman is nothing like his son. While he has a bit of compassion because he was a doctor,
I run a casino. Haven't been a doctor in 20 years.
He has no moral code and is willing to use guns and kill criminals to stop crime in Gotham City. His only concern is having a drink. So when Cyborg asks him to help the Resistance stop the war between Atlanteans and Amazons, he declines. However, when Barry arrives in the Batcave, thinking he's an intruder, Batman interrogates him.
You have 9 more fingers. I suggest you tell me how you found out about me.
Until he learns that Bruce is Batman in his timeline. After helping Barry regain his powers, they join the Resistance and head to Europe to prevent World War III. In the midst of the chaos, Batman fights Aquaman and kills Black Manta with Grifter.
Pity we never teamed up when the world still existed.
Batman and Grifter, the boy idiot.
But gets injured by Ocean Master. As Reverse Flash later intervenes, he toys with the Flash, and as long as he's alive, he prevents him from changing the past. However, when Aquaman activates a bomb, Batman kills Reverse Flash, so Flash can reset the timeline, but not before giving him a letter for Bruce before dying. Number 9. Vampire Batman. Imagine a world where Bruce Wayne never became Batman. Kirk Langstrom, traditionally the supervillain Man-Bat, took up the mantle. It all started when Kirk graduated as a scientist with his friend Will, but was diagnosed with lymphatic cancer. Despite trying to cure himself using a vampire bat's DNA, he fails. However, after seeing Will's project of self-replicating nanites,
if you can program nanites this complex, that could be the answer.
They create a serum using nanotech, and Kirk decides to test it on himself. He initially suffers, though he gains new strength, speed, agility, and an insatiable thirst for blood. With the ability to fly, he later becomes Batman and joins forces with Superman and Wonder Woman to form the Justice League. Unlike Bruce, Kirk and his team are willing to kill to enforce justice. Batman doesn't shy away from feeding on blood, but he creates fake plasma to satisfy his cravings. When scientists start disappearing, Batman investigates.
Anything connect these scientists? They all work together at one time or another. Government projects, usually top secret.
And reveals that the League's being framed for their murders. As he spies on a secret scientist meeting, robots arrive and kill them despite Batman intervening. With Will barely alive, the League takes him to HQ, but he recovers and reveals he's behind everything. Will plans to use Superman's ship to power a nanite bomb that will link people's minds and eliminate freedom. But Batman refuses to back down and engages Will in a fierce battle.
I love two people in my life, and now they're both gone.
After emerging victorious, the League rethinks their approach to justice.
No more politics, no more killing. Seriously? Something to think about.
Number 10. Steampunk Batman. This time, in another film based on the comic, it's the late 19th century, where Batman wears a suit with a long trench coat and a high collar. After saving boys from an abuser,
he won't be chasing anyone for a long time.
He discovers a woman murdered and later notices Selina Kyle being tailed by Jack the Ripper. Batman confronts him, but unaware of his combat skills, he loses the fight.
I can take care of myself.
Don't be so sure. He's more skilled than I would have thought.
Batman then seeks help from Commissioner Gordon for files on Jack, fearing more women will be killed. His suspicions are right, as Sister Leslie, the woman who cared for Bruce as an orphan, becomes Jack's next victim. When he heads to meet Hugo Strange to find out Jack's identity, he arrives late once again. Frustrated, he pursues Jack and engages him, before having to escape the police, who believe he's the killer. Selina then saves Batman and learns his identity, but Bruce is later arrested for being the Ripper. Selina asks Bruce to tell Gordon he's Batman because it's a strong alibi, but Bruce declines, as Batman's effectiveness depends on keeping his identity a secret. Selina refuses to do nothing and meets Gordon to tell him the truth.
He'll never believe you.
He'll believe this.
So, Bruce starts a riot, escapes from prison, and heads to Gordon's house, where he discovers a secret room and learns that Gordon is the Ripper. Upon seeing a bat signal and realizing Selina's in danger, Batman heads to the World Fair. He faces Jim and fights him to the death, but when Batman escapes his handcuffs, Jim refuses to be arrested and burns himself. As the fair crashes in flames, Batman then adopts the boys, Dick, Jason, and Tim. Number 11. Ninja Batman. In this anime-inspired animated film, Batman finds himself on a wild ride when Gorilla Grodd activates a Quake engine at Arkham Asylum. This transports everyone to feudal Japan, except Batman, who arrives 2 years late. After escaping Joker's men, he encounters Catwoman and Alfred, but learns that with his disappearance, the supervillains have taken over all states in Japan. Later, he uses the Batmobile to attack Joker's fortress, but is ultimately defeated. Luckily, a ninja clan rescues him, and he discovers that the Bat family also made the time jump. He learns about the Ninja Bat Clan and their belief in the prophecy of a Bat Ninja who creates order. When he later meets Grodd, they form a temporary alliance to stop the Joker, but as expected, Grodd double-crosses him. The Bat family then goes into hiding to master being a ninja, and with the New Horizon, Batman takes on a new persona as leader of the Bat Clan.
I swear, their faith in me will not be squandered.
A month later, when supervillains unleash their mechs in a war for total control, Batman and the Bat family gear up for combat.
I will be their prophecy.
I will be the legendary ninja who will bring peace to their land.
After Batman leads the clan into battle, Grodd is defeated, but Joker returns and creates a super mech by merging everyone's. To counterattack, controlled monkeys and bats combine to create a large Batman to battle the mech. Following a sword fight with Joker, Batman uses a mixture of martial arts and bats to defeat him and later activates the Quake engine to return to the present. Number 12. Red Sun Batman. Adapted from another Elseworlds comic, set in 1950s Russia, Kal-El becomes the Soviet Superman and Batman rises from the ashes of the USSR. But when Lois Lane reveals proof of repression in the Union, Superman finds a secret gulag. There, Bruce questions Superman because he failed to save his parents from being overworked to death.
They say you can hear a leaf fall 1,000 miles away. And you never heard our cries?
As his old friend later dies in his arms, Superman kills Stalin and becomes the new leader of the Soviet Union. Fast forward 20 years, Bruce has grown up to become a rebel against Superman's regime.
The only answer to this world of perfect order is chaos.
He uses extreme methods like blowing up buildings across the state and killing innocents to display his power. The authorities continue chasing him, but Batman always manages to escape using his skills and tactics.
No powers to speak of, yet this Batman eludes the police, the military, you.
Like Superman, he becomes a symbol as people join his mission. One night, to get Superman's attention, Batman binds Wonder Woman to her own lasso and allows her to call for Superman's help. When he arrives, Batman uses the lasso to his advantage.
She's under orders to kill herself if you harm me in any way.
And reveals that he wants to destroy and humiliate Superman. He activates lamps that simulate a red sun, compliments of Lex Luthor, which weakens Superman and allows Batman to brutally beat him. As Batman locks Superman away,
my followers rise up and finally take our country back.
Wonder Woman breaks free from a lasso and destroys the lamp's generator. Superman escapes, but Batman refuses to be imprisoned and lobotomized. Instead, he detonates a bomb inside his body to kill himself. Number 13. 1920s Batman. In the final comic adaptation set in the 1920s, Bruce is on a mission to understand the criminal mind. After searching for Professor Cobblepot and his crew, Bruce finds his journal and only one crewman alive. He learns that Gotham's in danger from reading the journal. This prompts Bruce to return home.
It's been 20 years since we left, Alfred. 20 years preparing. It's time.
Where he meets Jason Blood, who tells him that to save Gotham, he must die to become his true self, and the city must burn before it's reborn. As Batman, he uncovers the Cult of Ghouls' plan to release the demon, Ioxotha, and battles Talia, Killer Croc, and even a demon. While Batman defeats Croc, despite his efforts, Talia resurrects Ra's al Ghul. Upon finding Oliver severely injured afterwards, Oliver apologizes with his dying breath that his father killed Bruce's parents. Despite this, Bruce accepts his apology and, while preparing for battle and knowing he won't return,
"You're not well. What's happening to you?"
What needs to happen?
Leaves his legacy to Kylie and says his goodbyes to Alfred. After meeting his father's spirit before facing his fate, Bruce learns the truth of Thomas's past and that he's to blame for Gotham's doom.
It was our wretchedness that drew the thing to the threshold of our reality.
Ioxotha.
When Batman fails to prevent Ra's from summoning the demon, he embraces his destiny and transforms into a bat. As he stops Ra's, he summons Etrigan to stop Ioxotha while he escapes. Though Gotham burns, the city is rebuilt months later as Batman continues to watch over the city. Number 14. Aztec Batman. This is an upcoming animated DC film expected to be released sometime in 2024. Based on the pictures, it's clear that this won't be anything like other Batman films. Mind you, there are some similarities and many differences to Batman. The story will be set during the rise of the Aztec Empire, where the story will focus on the protagonist, Quetzalcoatl. Like Bruce as a young boy, Quetzalcoatl will witness a tragedy when his father, the leader of a village, is murdered by Spanish conquistadors. He manages to escape before he's also killed and finds refuge in the Temple of the Bat God. Yoali uses it as a base of operations as he trains with his mentor, develops techniques, and creates a unique armor. Just like Red Sun Batman, this Aztec Batman is not someone who will sit back and watch his people suffer. He will rise up against the invading Spanish conquistadors and fight for his land and people. And that's a wrap on alternate versions of Batman, until we see him when the Batman Azteca releases. What's your favorite adaptation of Batman's variants? Put on the mask and let me know in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to stay updated on my latest content. Thanks again to my patrons for keeping this channel going, and I'll see you all in the next video.